Welcome to Know Your Toastmasters Leader. I am Suraj Gavane, and every week I have conversations with the best leaders. This week, we joined by Anna Resite, an occupational therapist who supports people of all ages and abilities. She takes a holistic approach, looking at both physical and mental health to understand each person's needs. One area she focuses on is trauma, something that affects all of us in different ways. Let's hear from Anna about what trauma really means and how we can better understand it. Anna, what's your story?
My story. I grew up as a child with a mum who was very empathetic, very kind, nurturing, but with a father who had alcohol problems and was physically violent and aggressive. In a situation like that, it's very easy to become the victim. But my only way to survive that situation, I found, was to be positive, to look for the positives in it. And I believe I got that character from my mum because she was very resilient and very calm. And as a child, very early on, I knew that I wanted to help people in that same situation and I wanted to go into some kind of therapy. So I also had another passion, which was for Spanish and the Spanish language. So my life took me off in two different directions. The first one was to Queen Margaret Uni, where I got a degree in the only allied health profession who are trained in both physical and mental health, occupational therapy. So I've always had an interest in the mind-body connection and continued my training on that. And a couple of years ago, I got together with three other professionals who come from different backgrounds. And over the year, we met every week and we wrote a trauma course. And we delivered it over an 8-week period. It was an 8-week course. And the aim of that course was to teach people how to have their own toolkit to be able to help themselves, because we all suffer trauma, every single person in our lives. So we wanted to provide a manner that people would be able to help themselves instead of looking for a therapist. And my other path took me on a route to Strathclyde Uni, where I studied for a diploma in Spanish, which was my other passion, and I'm now able to teach Spanish as a second language.
As an occupational therapist trained in both physical and mental health, how do you define trauma? What step do you believe people should take to overcome it?
Trauma is defined as an adverse reaction to a situation in life. So it's not what happened to us, but rather how we react to it. How we deal with trauma depends on the trauma and when it happened. There are different manners to deal with it depending on, is it a trauma you're going through just now, a trauma in the past that is lingering, or are you trying to build up resistance for a curveball that life is going to throw at you, because it always will. There are many techniques and many ways to address trauma. But to give you an example, one of the things that I'm very interested in and that I would teach is neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity is like if you were to work your biceps muscle in the gym, then that part of your brain, the corresponding part in your brain, would strengthen and grow bigger. And in the same way, any habit or pattern that we repeat, when we look at brain scans, we can see that that part of the brain is getting stronger. Unfortunately, that happens with negative things too. So if you continue with anxiety, depression, or even negative thoughts consistently, then it actually changes the structure of your brain. The problem is that when that structure changes, it's very difficult to change it back. But in the same way, by developing positive thoughts and positive affirmations, we strengthen the brain in a different way. And what happens is that we develop a resilience so that when that curveball does come our way, it becomes our autopilot to think positively. It's our natural state. And it's something that I've developed myself. It's something that I teach to my clients, but it's something that has become my motto for life. And I do think that generally I am a positive person for this.
And how has this Toastmasters Club helped you to grow as a leader?
I think for me, in both of my jobs, communication is fundamental. As a therapist, I learned how to communicate as a therapist to a patient or a client. And an interesting fact is I also learned how to communicate differently with men and women, because the male brain and the female brain process information differently. And working as a translator and teaching a language, it's quite important to understand the cultural differences as well in how we communicate. But the one thing that I didn't have enough training and wanted to improve on was my public speaking. And being here at Toastmasters, even just observing the more experienced Toastmasters has been invaluable. And going up there and doing my own speeches, learning the process of how to write and prepare a speech, having the discipline to keep that speech within the time limits, and getting the evaluation and the feedback has just been just incredible for improving and growing. And it's something I want to continue doing, because in my job as a therapist and in my other job as a translator, they both involve communication, and the communication is just so important to both roles.
And in your view, what makes a good leader?
I would like to change that word from lead to inspire. I believe that to lead someone, it's an external thing, whereas if you inspire someone, that comes from within the person themselves, which is much stronger. So I don't like to think of myself as a leader. I like to think when I go and see my clients that I'm not leading them to change, that I'm inspiring them, and that change comes from within. And goal setting as well, whether it's in the language or whether it's in a rehab program with my clients, I want to inspire so that they follow rather than lead. And I think that translates to a lot of jobs, that, in my opinion, a leader should lead by example, and that anyone looking at that person should then feel inspired to follow. So I actually think it's about following rather than leading.
It's time to play the rapid fire now. Anna, you ready?
Okay, go for it.
3 words that describes you.
Oh, friendly, adventurous, and persistent.
One habit that drives your success.
My friends say I'm like a sponge. I really thrive on learning. I read most days, and I love to study and learn.
Your biggest pet peeve.
Oh, that has to be people glued to their phone as they walk down the street, and I have to avoid them.
Your favorite Spanish dish and holiday destination.
Has to be paella, and of course the home of paella, which is Valencia.
Okay.
Your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values become your destiny. Mahatma Gandhi. Or in short, you are what you think.
At Toastmasters, we all aim for the stars. Anna, are you ready to fly high?
Yay!